This is 3-4. Ideally, we'll finish it today, which has like 2 more slides after this, with like 1 problem each. It's okay. All right. Let's look at this. Get our notebooks out. Write these down. At this point, all you're doing is copying down. So the brains that are hurting is copy. I have an answer. That would be a question for the guidance counselors. They learn different things, like the same things, but in different orders. So, like, you'd be missing their first 2 chapters. There's Miss Glaze and Miss Bryant and I think Miss Bolliton. I don't think she does Precal. Miss Bolt does AP Stats and Geometry. Miss Hannah, I believe, does a lot, but I think she does a calculus, not a Precal. So I think she does like honors algebra 2 and then calculus. So, sorry. All right. These look a little scary, but I promise they're not super gross. Because what we're doing is finding the domain. What x values work? So on this first one, if we're keeping in the world of real numbers, like we're not going imaginary here, what's the rule for a square root? Yeah, it can't be negative, right? So my bit that's under the square root, this chunk, cannot be negative. Right? We all in agreement on that one? Today is the 21st, yes. So what we need to know is we need to know when 4x minus 1 is greater than or equal to 0, right? How can we solve that? Add 1 to both sides. So we get 4x greater than or equal to 1. What does x need to be? Greater than or equal to 1 over 4. So we're going to put it in interval notation. Yep. That's our answer right there. So as the interval, 1/4 is the smallest it can be. It can equal 1/4, so we use a bracket. The biggest it can be is what? Infinity. That is the domain. We're just finding the x values that work. So we're going to look at our function rule critically, figure out what will make it glitch, and make a rule around that. Is that an ice pack or just a bag? Okay, you do you. You have fun with that one. Kinney's been around for years. I bought all my stuff from Kinney's. Yes, dear. Correct. Quizzes we cannot do retakes, but the lowest quiz does get dropped. The lowest quiz gets dropped. The lowest test gets replaced with your final. Okay.
What do you mean it gets dropped?
Like it just doesn't count. The lowest quiz grade. Just end of semester.
Just like regardless?
Like regardless, the lowest quiz will get dropped. Guaranteed. I will go through and find them all. Yes, dear.
Did you do extra credit?
Nope.
Are you suffering? No extra credit?
Welcome to college. Sorry, love.
So like you said the lowest grade, like singular, like not like plural, like only one is gonna
Lowest quiz grade. There's like 10 of them. One of them will drop. It just won't count against you. That's why we have so many options for things like homework and end of semester. That's end of semester that happens.
So your final has to be higher than the lowest quiz grade that you're trying to drop?
No, the quiz grade just like straight up it won't count. No matter what, it won't count. The lowest one won't count. The final thing is it's the unit exams, like the big test. If your final is better than any of your test grades, it'll replace the lowest one.
And if it's not?
So then I won't make it hurt you more.
What is the grade that we need in here to pass? Is it like a B like the other ones or is it a C?
No, it's like passing is D's get degrees. D's get degrees.
But to get the
Technically, it's passing.
honors diploma, you have to have a C.
I genuinely have no idea. Those rules, I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
60 is a D. 59 is an F.
But for the college credit, do you still have to get a C? To get
Genuinely, I have no idea. This is my first time dealing with that. All right. Let's look at number 2. Those sound like email questions for Ms. Volland. She has all that information and she's done this before, so she knows way more about those college rules. Just the day before fall break. 16? I want to say 16? 6, maybe 6. Yeah. I don't know. It's on this paper. The paper that we should live our life by that has all the homeworks and the dates of all the quizzes? Yes. I printed out extras. Yeah. That's okay. I print out extras. Let's look at this next one. We've got a fraction here. I said the day before fall break, and I said then I don't know, maybe 16? Because my brain wasn't thinking calendar right. I was thinking the day we came back from break. Because I'm plenty.
Oh, the quiz is the 29? Whoa.
Yeah, we got one next week too. It's okay. All right. Look at this next one. We have a fraction. When do fractions glitch out on us? When our denominator is 0. So our domain can be anything except when our denominator is 0. So let's figure out when our denominator is 0, because that's where our issue is going to be. So we want to know when x squared minus 1 equals 0. Couple of different ways to approach this. What's your instinct? Add 1. Find a way to do it. Solve it with square roots. X squared equals 1. What does x equal? Plus or minus 1. You could also do this with factoring, noticing that x squared minus 1 is a difference of squares. And do it that way. Totally fine. So our domain is everywhere that x does not equal 1 or negative 1. So, couple of different ways to write it. We could do it the interval way, where we go from negative infinity to negative 1 with a parentheses. Join it with everything between negative 1 and positive 1, and then everything bigger than 1. That is one way to write it. All real numbers except one and negative 1. Those mean the same things. Those two sentences mean the same thing. This means the exact same thing as this. Mathily, wordily. I would absolutely take both. 100%, I would take both.
That's all we have to do, and we just have to realize. So one is basically one and infinity is all we have to remember.
We would have to have all three of these pieces.
Well, if you have like one, you get that wrong.
We'd get a partial credit on that. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this last one. We'll do this as the last one for today because I feel the smushy brains. Like I'm feeling it. So we have both a fraction and a square root here. So what's going to happen there? We need this chunk to be what? Greater than 0. It cannot equal 0. So all we need to know is when does 2x plus 6, when is that greater than 0? Not when does that. Because I need that chunk to not equal 0, because that's what makes my fraction gross. And I need it to not be negative, because then it makes my radical gross. So we get 2x is greater than negative 6. So x is greater than negative 6 over 2. Negative 6 over 2. Simplify it down to negative 3. I got you. It's okay. If we take the step, we take the step, and that's okay. So as an interval, how do we write this as an interval? Negative 3 to infinity. Parentheses on the infinity, always and forever. Parentheses or bracket on negative 3. Parentheses, because it cannot equal negative 3 or we get a 0 in our denominator. What's up? You got a question mark above your head like a sim. What's up? Because if it's negative, square root will give me an imaginary number. If the chunk under the radical is negative, it will give me an imaginary number, right? We're living in the world of real numbers right now.
Well, why is that one greater than or equal to, and that one's equal to, and that one's just greater than?
Because this one is because, okay, so I'm going to start on the other end. Can a square root equal 0? Yeah, I can do square root of 0. It's just 0, right? Can I divide by a 0? No, so it can't equal 0 here. It can equal 0 here. So that's how we got that. We're not square rooting negative numbers. We're living in the world of real numbers right now. So I need this chunk to not be negative. So that's how I know that it's greater than or equal to. Okay? Because all I care about is when is my denominator 0. We don't have any square roots in here. I'm just looking for it. Well, if I divide by 0, does that work? No. That's what I'm looking for. This is the places that it doesn't work. So I need everything except this. Okay? Can't believe you have your hand up, right? Okay, cool. It's because y'all get grumpy if I don't put the page up.
I don't care.
Yeah, it should be. Because I didn't even change the date, so it's just cut and pasted. It's 3/4, so it's the same one. And this is straight up off the yellow page. Nothing's changed. Y'all just get real grumpy if I don't put it up there.